Welcome back to another episode of the Forever Game Podcast. You think we need to change the intro music?
I was actually thinking about that like 2 weeks ago.
Because this is episode 37. I still like the jam.
Me too. I was thinking, I wonder how far into a podcast you have to get before you just can tweak your intro music.
I think we can do whatever we want. You know, we have such a loyal following that they'll just stick with us.
They sure will. But, I picked that one in like 3 minutes. It's done us well, but it
has. It's getting tired.
We could shake it up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're the only ones that have listened to all of our podcasts.
I know.
But then again, I haven't listened to them.
Let's stick with it till we hit 50.
50?
Let's keep the audience playing along until 50. And then
sounds good. I have just an FYI, I've sent several emails to Gary to be on our podcast for double nickels because his favorite number is 5. And we have episode 55 coming up roughly in a month and a half. And so I sent that email a few times now. I'm sure he's just busy. You know, he's probably got it. He flagged it.
You haven't even told me because you're not expecting
anything. No. I'm sure he's flagged it. Like it's in the important file. He's probably added to his Basecamp work.
On my list today, make sure I respond to Tyler.
Respond to the Forever Game guy. Got it. Anyway, so we are here today. And the episode that I kind of wanted to talk about, let's talk about our process first. As someone that are two people that are hosting a podcast together, which I think makes it easier.
Yeah, for sure.
We're splitting up all the work. But then also when it comes to creative ideas, we can just message each other and it's like a little log. Hey, I want to do this thing.
Yep.
Next.
Yep.
Right?
So you usually, we do this quite frequently. We're messaging each other ideas, but then you messaged me last week and said something like, I want to do
400 trillion.
400 trillion podcast. And that was it.
Yep. That's just me making a note. Like, I no longer have to remember this.
Yep.
I've sent it to you.
Because it's out.
Uh-huh.
And so today I was like, you didn't even elaborate what that meant. But now here we are.
Yeah. And we talked about it a little bit in the show prep that we did.
Thorough prep.
Yep. But a little bit about what that is. And it was because I had this kind of milestone moment last week where I had to submit my letter of resignation to the school. Not for all of my job, not for the CEO portion in the morning, but for the portion at the school after CEO.
Our listeners' jaws are on the floor,
Tyler. They are. I know. This documentation process is just so effective.
He did it.
No
way. Okay.
But I think I was nervous typing the email and not nervous is this the right choice? Like I've been thinking about it for a while, but just, it's a normally when things like this splinter off your direction in your career or your life or whatever, a lot of times there are things that happen to you, that you are responding to. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's adversity, maybe it's a great opportunity, something like that.
Yeah.
And you have to, respond to it. This is something that I've totally done to myself.
Very much chosen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there's always, I think, an extra layer of questioning or doubt.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I was thinking, before I send this thing, my principal's been very supportive, and he said, are you sure you want to do this? You just got to tell me, and da-da-da-da. And I had already given them final words so that he could talk to the powers that be about what was happening, next year at the organization. And so I knew that it was out there and it was pretty much a done deal. I just had to formalize it. Well, I just about to send the email and I'm like, what would my life be like if I stayed? And because, this is not a secret, but like my financial advisor has always said, this is a few years ago, but he's like, well, the nice thing about being a teacher is there's very solid retirement plan. Like it's safe because it's not going anywhere. It's not a for-profit company that can be sold or can go out of business. Like this is, a TRA isn't going anywhere.
Yep.
But it's leaving like at 62 or whatever I would be. And then saying like, okay, now I get to do like things that I really want to try. Oof, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I would have the energy. I was like, well, I'm doing this because I feel like I want to be happy, and something popped into my head at that time was like something that Gary Vee says all the time, this 400 trillion to one thing. that your chances of being born a human are 400 trillion to 1 in 400 trillion. And he always says things that are pretty anecdotal. Not all of it is data based.
Yeah, but he says it very confidently.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, is he full of or is this, legit? So I just quick Google, extra tab of my 137 tabs, and just what are the chances of being born? And it was the first result. And it was one of those like sponsored results, like Discovery Channel, 1 in 400 trillion is your chance. So it was exactly what he had always said.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about that. I'm like, wow. And I kind of did some math and I was like, well, the chances of winning the lottery are this much, and divide that out. Your chances of winning the lottery 100,000 times are still better than being born, and all kinds of weird numbers. And I was like, well, I feel like everyone that's born has already won in some way. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you're sitting there, the fact that I'm sitting there at a computer, that I've paid for myself in this nice warm place in a very safe community, like born in America.
In the United States of America.
And man, like, I feel like I've already won. And like, what makes me happy? Well, what makes the people around me happy? Really, it's just me being around. So when I think about like, I'm nervous, what if I leave and now maybe we can't make as much money the first couple of years or year, maybe it's a little bit less. Would my kids or family be unhappy when I think about all the things that they actually want? They just want more of me around, and or just as much as they can.
They want more of happy dad and husband around,
right?
Too.
I was like, well, I know I can give them that, and I can actually give them probably more of that, if I do this. Mm-hmm. And not that I have more time, but just more flexibility, right?
Yeah.
And, well.
This is
I don't
quite
think I can
the
lose.
episode of self-reflection you've went down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you know that the people around you are happy because you're around, that they're all healthy and happy, and that you like the chances of being a human and you're here, jeepers, I feel like you've already won. You just have to decide what to do with your winnings. Mm-hmm. So instead of sitting on the safe option and like you've won a few hands of the game, now you're just going to sit on that and play pennies. You've already got like the entire winnings in your back pocket, like that you're not going to play. Like they're here.
Yes.
You've already won.
Yeah.
You've won like the mega millions, and now you're just kind of seeing. You might as well let's shoot for the moon.
What you're capable of.
Yeah, because if you know that bare minimum, everyone's still going to be happy, and you're still going to be happy by trying your thing. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Especially if I know going to this place that there's just not a lot in it for me to grow anymore. There maybe could be, but I'm not interested in those things as much. Right? Mm-hmm. And so that all came to me within like the same afternoon. And then I texted you.
That was the 1 in 400 trillion.
Yeah. I was like, I feel like a lot of people out there are thinking about that, or are in a job maybe that is safe, that is okay. And they're like, well, I'm 40. I'm 28, I'm whatever. Yeah. And they're like, oh, if I just stick here for 20 more, it's cheapers.
That's a hard pill to try and swallow.
But
tell yourself to swallow.
You're way better at this than me. Although you had your nervousness when you left.
Well, I think there always has to be some level of uncomfortability when you're changing. Otherwise, there's no progress that's made.
Right.
But I guess I have just a different lens. I don't know for what it is, but I have this conversation with Micah as well. It's like, why not do the thing that makes you happy? Why not just go all in on it? And if the chips, fall where they may,
right.
If things go haywire, you can always change it. Like you can always go back to whatever that safe option was. There's always the option to, there's always a way to make money. I mean, but if you're living years after year unhappy in the situation that you're in the job that you're at,
plodding along.
Yeah. Like that's the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
So
plus, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but not having as like you're not as far along in like the whole like life building
No, I know
thing.
What you're saying.
Like I have a little more to risk or things to consider.
For sure. You have kids to think about and a family to provide for.
A mortgage that we already have. Like I know you guys are going to have one here or already have one or whatever, but those things add more layers.
For sure.
And
There is a complication, which is why Gary preaches, like, when you're young, you just got to try stuff, because that is when you have the least amount to lose.
Right.
And I think that's where, like, we get brainwashed as younger adults, is like
100%.
you go to this 4-year school and you get this degree, and then you really, you know, you're there, you're in that industry, and that's the one you've decided on, and there's like work your way up the ladder, blah, 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 blah. Your wife is calling.
Yep. I think we're still good.
Okay.
We're okay.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, there's something broken there, and you obviously are in that.
I think the other part for you is you care less about what other people think. I've gotten to this point from a lot of work, but you naturally care less. Like if I was to say to you, even someone that works with you almost every day, if I was to say, Jamie, I'm really concerned about this decision to do this, you'd be like, okay, whatever. You know, you are much more, these people are in my camp and I care, or they're not. And like, they're really not for you.
Yeah.
I had to work into this. I wasn't always this way. And
why do you think that was?
I don't know.
It's just
because insecurity. Like, it took me getting older. It took me, I don't know, maybe having kids, lots of things. And I've realized that I don't necessarily need a big, huge friend group. Some people need lots of friends around. I don't need that.
I've never been that way.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I used to. And like if other friends were hanging out with these other friends, but we're all kind of loosely friends and I wasn't invited, that'd be a thing. I couldn't care less anymore. And I used to a lot.
I've almost never cared about that.
I know, I can tell. You've just naturally that way.
If I want to hang out with somebody, I'm going to hang out with them. If I don't, I'm not going to.
And you get surprised when other people are maybe come at you and they're like, hey, how come you didn't invite us? You're like, what are you talking about?
I know.
You can't even conceive of it.
I know.
And that's a good thing. So I think that's your biggest strength in all of this, I think, is that. But then coupled with the fact that you're still so young in your life, you know, with less of those other options, it's a little easier for you.
Yeah. It wasn't, I mean, like we said, it wasn't necessarily easy, but in the bigger picture, it was easier. Right. Less to risk.
So if you are out there and you are sitting in that job, or maybe you're trying to run the business and you've done it for a few years and it's just not working, or even if it's working and you're miserable and stressed, you know, that I just think if you have a happy family or you have an inkling of what could make you happy, that you might as well try it, especially now with the economy the way that it is. Like you said, you can always go back and get a job anywhere.
There are tons of corporate jobs out there,
ready
to hire.
I could probably go and get a bunch of different teaching jobs, and immediately.
You could,
or call and say, okay, school, all of our clients fired us, and now I will pick up all of the subbing jobs that you have. Like I'll do that if I have to. Yeah. I'll hate it, but I'll do it. So anyway.
But I'm excited for you with your whole.
What?
You didn't tell me that you submitted that resignation letter.
Well, I didn't tell my wife initially either. And when I hit the send button, I hit the send, and I've been there for 12 years. Yeah. So I'm like, I just kind of sit and look around. I'm like,
holy shit.
It's done now. Yeah. Because CEO, I'm never at the school. So I'll never be there.
But now, how does it feel?
It feels like, Angie's calling again. It feels like, okay, there's no turning back now. It's easier to live on the edges where you could go either way. Oh, well, I've got this thing. It's fine. It's just fun. Like I've got this other, steady income thing. So this thing can just be fun, and I don't really have to take it too seriously, and if we mess up, that's okay. Well, not that we will mess up, but I mean, it's just okay. I mean, it's got to work now.
Yeah. Well, you have to give it 110%.
Right.
Not that you didn't have to do before, but it's required.
Right. Or at least 33%, which is a lot for me.
More than that.
More than 33%?
More than 33%.
Okay. I probably give it close. I feel like I'm thinking or working on it close to all the time.
Yeah.
So now I just physically can do it without the guilt.
I know. That's going to be rad.
Yes, it will. Anyway, all right. So that's our little update. You are 1 in a 400 trillion chance of being born. You're probably 1 in like 400 quadrillion chance of listening to this podcast.
But when you boil it all down, what makes you happy? It's pretty dang simple.
Yeah, you've already won.
Yeah.
So you might as well just figure out what to do with your winnings. All right. Peace out, everybody.